Here's something I rarely say out loud. The most financially prepared 60-year-olds I meet often make the same costly mistake. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what that mistake is, why it's so easy to miss even if you've done everything right, and what families may be able to do to address it before it becomes irreversible. I'm Jerry Bulaclac, financial advisor at Radiinvest and fiduciary, which means I'm legally required to put your interests first in everything I do. I know what you might be thinking. I've been saving for 30 years. I've got this handled, and maybe you do. But here's the thing. Accumulation and distribution are two completely different games. The rules change. The tax rules change. The sequence of how you pull money out matters in a way it never did during the saving years. And the families who tend to struggle most aren't the ones who save too little. They're the ones who spent decades optimizing accumulation but never built a plan for what comes next. Before we continue, this video is for educational purposes only. It's not personalized financial, tax, or legal advice. For guidance specific to your situation, please work with a qualified financial professional. So what is the mistake? It's not running out of money, though that's a real concern. It's not picking the wrong investments. The biggest mistake I see at age 60 comes down to this: not having a plan for where your income comes from and in what order. And that one gap, that single blind spot, tends to set off a chain reaction that touches your taxes, your healthcare, and your long-term financial picture all at once. Let me show you exactly how that works. The first mistake is also the most common: no distribution strategy. Most people reach retirement with money in multiple buckets. A 401k may be a Roth IRA, a brokerage account, possibly a pension, or Social Security coming at some point. And without a clear plan for which account to draw from first and in what order, many families simply withdraw from whatever feels convenient. I had clients both in their early 60s, well over $1 million saved, who were doing exactly that, pulling from their IRA first because it was the largest account. Seemed logical, but that one decision was accelerating their taxable income, compressing their tax bracket, and eliminating a window they'll never get back, which leads directly to the bigger issue. Here's where the real damage tends to happen, and this is the one most financial content doesn't talk about. The years between when you retire and when your required minimum distributions kick in at age 73 may be the lowest income years of your adult life. Think about what that means. If you retire at age 62 and Social Security hasn't started yet, your taxable income could be significantly lower than it's ever been. That window, potentially 10 or more years, is often when a Roth conversion strategy could be most valuable. Because here's what may happen if you don't take advantage of it. Your pre-tax retirement accounts keep growing. And at age 73, the IRS begins requiring you to pull out money whether you need it or not. And those distributions are fully taxable. For many families, that could push them into a higher tax bracket at exactly the wrong time, potentially triggering higher Medicare premiums through IRMA and reducing the flexibility they thought they'd have. I worked with a client who had a clear opportunity, a multi-year window where a structured Roth conversion could have repositioned a meaningful portion of their savings into a tax-free bucket. We estimated the potential long-term tax impact at $38,000 or more for their heirs alone, but they hadn't started planning for it because no one had framed retirement that way. The strategy isn't complicated. What tends to stop families is simply not knowing the window exists or waiting until it's already closed. If you want to model what this could look like for your situation, take a look at the pre-retirement readiness checklist link below. It includes a section specifically on the tax transition window. And just when the tax picture matters most, healthcare costs show up. And if you retire before age 65, you're not eligible for Medicare. And the cost of bridging that gap tends to surprise people. Depending on your income, your location, and what level of coverage you need, pre-Medicare coverage for a couple can run $1,500 to $2,500 or more per month. And here's where it connects back to everything we just covered. The same Roth conversion strategy that could reduce your future tax liability may also affect what you pay for coverage during those early retirement years, depending on how your income is structured. These three things, your withdrawal sequence, your tax bracket management, and your healthcare cost planning, don't operate in isolation. They tend to reinforce each other, which is why a gap in one area tends to amplify the others. I covered the full healthcare picture for pre-Medicare families in a previous video. The real cost of healthcare before Medicare, if you want to go deeper on that piece specifically. If this is the kind of content that's useful to you, subscribe to the channel. We cover retirement planning, tax strategy, and income planning specifically for families in the 10 to 15 years before retirement. I want to share a real example. Details change to protect privacy of what happens when all three of these gaps collide. A family came to me a few years into retirement, both in their mid-60s, strong portfolio, they had done a lot of things right, but they had no distribution strategy in place, had been drawing from their IRA the entire time, and had not done any Roth conversions during their early retirement years when their income was at its lowest. By the time we reviewed their situation, their pre-tax accounts continued to grow. Their projected RMDs were substantial. Their tax exposure in their 70s and 80s looked significantly higher than it needed to be, and they had spent more than expected on pre-Medicare coverage without realizing how their income reporting was affecting their subsidy eligibility. None of these were catastrophic on their own, but together, and remember, all three tend to be connected, the compounding effect was meaningful. The good news is that for families who are still 3 to 5 years out from retirement, there still may be time to address all of this. That window I mentioned, it may still be open. I want to address something directly. A lot of families I work with have been diligent savers their whole lives. They've done the hard part, and there can be a belief, a reasonable one, that getting to a certain number means the work is done. It doesn't mean the work is done, it means the work is changing. The skills and habits that built the portfolio are not the same skills needed to protect and distribute it efficiently. Accumulation awards consistency. Distribution rewards strategy, and strategy requires a plan, not just a balance. Getting a second set of eyes on your distribution approach before you retire may be one of the most valuable things a family in this position could do. If you want a structured way to pressure test your own retirement readiness across all three of these areas, distribution, taxes, and healthcare, I put together a pre-retirement readiness checklist specifically for families within 10 to 15 years of retirement. It's free, and the link is in the description below. If you're closer to ready to talk through your specific situation, you can also schedule a complimentary consultation in the link below. Now that you know the most common mistake I see at age 60, here's the next question worth sitting with. Are you actually on track? In my next video, I put hard benchmarks on the table and walk through an honest self-assessment of where you stand. It may be the gut check you've been putting off. See you there. This video is for educational purposes only. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.